Look at that.
And put it in here. Look. Oh my god, look. Look. So maybe we should look at it on YouTube to see what it would actually look like. Let's see here. The full frame. Oh, let's make sure. Well, we can't see each other. Oh shit, I'm not sharing my, see, this is hilarious. Technical difficulties. Okay, can you get a little, can you go?
No. If you're able to slide back a little bit, I think we can get more of each other in the frame.
Okay. We had this all sorted and then we... All right.
I like it. Here we go. Hi, Heather.
All right. So what we intend to do, and please correct me if I miss something important, is we are going to do the kind of check-ins that we like to do, where it's kind of a maximum amount of information. It's like the essence of it rather than getting lost in a bunch of story.
And of course, right when we start filming is when all the
Everything
weird
gets
noises
loud.
in the neighborhood starts coming. So
It's
welcome to the background noise.
Birds are singing for us. But,
It's like
so we're gonna set timers because because we want to do it that way. That helps us stay on track. And we're going to meander through topics like, and a lot of it sounds like it kind of comes back to what might it look like on the Art of Processing channel, whatever it is, whatever topic it is that we're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Does that sound accurate?
I think so. Yeah, it's kind of like we're doing a general check-in.
And we haven't seen each other in person in a really fucking long
It's
time.
been a while. I know, so we get to share that and all of that wonderful juiciness.
I've got a lot of wiggles in me.
Yes, let's wiggle. Let's see, that's the cool stuff. You're like, I've been doing that in the car, and I'm like,
Yeah.
like, let me just move my neck. So, free movement is allowed.
Great. Thanks for that reminder. What else before we set a timer for each of us to kind of do because we just finished I want to present also what we've just done.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
We've kind of spent some time together, kind of landing, kind of answering the questions like how and who are you now? How and who am I now? And then now we're exploring like, who are we now? Yeah. And that's when we put the camera on. So yeah,
it kind of feels like we got a couple of topics that feel very alive for us, but also a lot of the people that we know right now.
For real,
which is really cool.
Will you please say what those are?
Okay, so what we have, it's for I think both of us, we've been kind of falling back into old habits or ruts, or like that's a big one for me at least.
Old stuff coming up to be released.
Old stuff to come out to be released, and for me too, it's been like habits and patterns that I find unhealthy. And maybe not like super toxic, or not like cigarette smoking or drinking myself into the ground or anything like that, but still like face picking. Like that's a big one that I kind of want to
engage with that and try to identify how to be with it differently.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And a lot of that. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. Wishes for the future. I kind of throw that in there. Like, what do we wish for ourselves? We have each for the end. And then we have a back to school basics, or like back to basics, right? If I feel like when we're falling into a rut, we want to get back to our routine, or adjust a routine, or even start one and just get back to basics. Yeah. And then we have revisiting. So I guess that would be the same thing as like kind of old stuff coming up. So we're kind of revisiting things. And then reducing the judgmental language. Like I think also having like those voices in the back of our heads that may sound like our mother, or an old boyfriend or something like that, or an old worker, old boss,
God,
like that
some
kind of
asshole
shit.
bosses in my past.
Like if those voices are coming up, and it's fun when you identify that in your thoughts. So that's what we got. Yeah, and we could do like personal check-ins. So we could see how we feel. Like do a little bit of what's alive for us right now, and we can chat, or go into these topics and just kind of bounce off of each other. So
yeah, I think okay, what feels best? I think I feel a little bit weird that I would like, can I have 5 minutes to say why I feel weird?
Yay. I love it. Fabulous. Okay, so I'm gonna put the timer now.
Okay. So, so I feel weird because I think this is a common experience, but I don't know for sure because I haven't asked a lot of people about it. But it is my wiggles. It is my desire to move. And so like I recognize that you're not a new person, but you're new in that I haven't been near your nervous system in a long time. There's a lot happening in my house energetically. So I'm really, and I've been so sensitive lately. But I have also been shamed and hassled and, mean things said about me by parents, people and friends and whatever for being wicked. And so and at work, oh my God, at work, it's the fucking worst. And so allowing myself to be seen, even actually, I can't control these honestly, but just letting this out terrifies me and also feels like super important.
Oh, can I share real quick?
Yeah.
I love that you're wiggling in front of me. I'm a fidgeter and it's really interesting because I'm not as wiggly right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that you are.
Okay.
And like, I don't know, maybe it's a healing thing of just like, hey, I accept your wiggliness. Like, and I love it. And for me, it's interesting because it feels like I'm noticing myself wanting to mimic what you're doing. But also checking in with myself and being like a little shifting or something like that. Like, like tension kind of pops up a little bit, or maybe a little bit of like an anxious energy. And that makes me want to check in with you, but also know that like, it's not like I want you to stop. Like I want you to be you and it's not bothering me. And it's like, I kind of find it fascinating and interesting what I'm picking up or like what I'm noticing within myself too. And like, I totally resonate with that. Being told to sit fucking still, right? Yeah. Sit still. If you're a kid and you got energy and you've had sugar or anything else like that, you got to move, especially at work. Oh my God, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's one major theme. I'm trying to have a new experience with old stimulus. Yeah. And I just want to at least put a pin in. If we don't talk about this right now, it's fine. But I feel like so this time around, this particular place on the spiral, I feel like the way I'm engaging with my cleaning up my energetic field and becoming more aware of it. This time I am doing it through a Qigong course.
Cool.
And this morning it kind of came to me, I'm like, oh, okay, in 2014 when my entire world disintegrated, I did almost no exercise whatsoever and I disintegrated very quickly. In 2016, when I was in a state of total breakdown again, I clung to like stretches and yoga and that kind of structure to move my body, like as if my life depended on it, because I felt like it did. I still agree. But then yoga was taken away from me as a tool in January by my physical therapist. This January. And so I just really, that among some other things, really threw me so complete. I had nothing to hold on to. I didn't even have my movement practice. Yeah. But I'm now grateful for it because now I can see that, okay, yoga was great for me then, and it's what was most readily available and free. And I loved the teacher that I, spent all the time with, and I would go to live ones sometimes for mixing it up. But that's what was available. Yeah. Now what is available to me is this course. It's called 5 Elements for Empaths. It's going to go in the resources.
We're making resources for people.
Well, we can't share all of them because some of these are courses, but yeah,
we can share links so people can check out
the yes,
if you want to do it. Yeah, because I have some stuff that's paid that I'm not willing to share.
Right.
But other people can buy them.
Totally.
So that totally. Anyway, sorry, continue. I wanted
it's like creating the library of the teachers that we've worked with.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's been my devotion. And the element this week that I've been practicing is fire. Okay, so that's the timer. Okay, I'm almost done with this thought.
Cool. Perfect.
The element this week that I've been devoted to is fire. And I can't remember the real specifics, but some of the stuff around this element, if it's out of balance, is you feel a great deal of anxiety and you can't complete any projects, and there's a lot of brain fog, and organization and scheduling is hard but absolutely necessary. And then to get in balance, it is through connecting to heart and clearing, connecting to and clearing heart energy. So I've been following that up by at least listening to, if not fully participating in a meditation that Catherine Bird also did. That's titled something like grounded and calm energy, something like that. And that one of the most important themes in it is, if you were already living in your highest version of New Earth, what would you be doing? How would you be spending your time?
I like that. Yeah.
And go do that. So that's how I end my practice. And so I feel like after I've been pretty devoted to it, I just need probably another 3-4 weeks of being devoted to it to like really start to feel clearer. But unfortunately, that's part of the reason why I think also things are so hard for me right now, because I am shaking shit up.
Yeah. Ooh, that was juicy. Thank you. I'm like, I resonate so fucking hard with all of that. Especially just realizing that, my God, yeah, like you've gone through, like we all do in ways, these different moments of our rock bottoms, many different types of rock bottoms, and the physical hits, like those illnesses or sicknesses. And just like this past year myself with dealing with the MRSA infection and all that kind of stuff, was like, and I was literally just thinking that today of like, wait, when I got myself really organized with my bullet journal, and now I'll do a bullet journal video.
Yes, please.
This I've neglected September a little bit, so I'm working on
It's
that.
okay.
But
It's time to make it a full-on habit.
exactly, that's a big one too, and also like just that reminder of like, oh, to hear how you didn't use physical things when your first health thing hit you. You didn't use a physical outlet like yoga. And then your second one you did, and now it's shifting and changing. Like I feel very similar. I'm like, well, I can't run because of my knee. And so for me, it would be like this blockage. And then I would be hard on myself or feel really sad. And lately I was doing that. and was like, oh, like, why am I not like getting into it? I'm like, I'm in pain or whatever it is. But just hearing your experience of that, I'm like, oh, that's what it's like. I'm not alone. Of course you've been through something. Like, and then to see you also like move through stuff and stick to routine, and even while it being hard and having to shift and change with life happening, still inspires me. So
Thank you.
yeah.
And what you see and am inspired by in me is just a reflection of you.
Aw, we're just mirrors.
Yeah.
That's the best compliment, by the way. Like, you're just a reflection of me, and I'm just a reflection of you.
Hey, do you want to set the timer again and have you do?
Sure.
And I've completely lost track of time. I have no idea how much.
We started around 2:30, 2:20. Yeah, we're just arbitrary. We're just figuring it out. Oh, freaking no.
Yeah.
No, we've got some structure to it, but it's nice to have structure and then still be able to be free flowing. Exactly. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so your turn to drive.
I drive now. Okay. I'm wanting to adjust this just a little bit. It's
Please.
adjustment. Look at you a little bit more. There we go.
I do not have the ideal equipment in this moment.
I'm feeling very silly.
Please.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I welcome all of you. Whoever part of you is here.
I have just been letting myself loose a little bit more. My entire drive up from Southern Oregon, where I was working, and the wonderful smoke. It's so smoky, and it's challenging to be in. We felt it last year.
What day did you come back? How long ago? How many days have passed since you
Monday, so 5 days.
Oh wow,
4
okay.
days.
Yeah, I would say 4 days.
Feels about that. And I've been just kind of doing car work and spending all the money that I make for my vehicle in the meantime. It needs to happen because it's my home.
And is it going to be like super dependable now?
Sure.
as dependable as a car of its age can be.
The brakes will be fabulous. It's not going to be a death trap. It's absolutely great. Not that it was before, but I'm actually doing some proper maintenance on a vehicle instead of waiting for it to go to shit, which I've totally done in the past. So thank you. I need I'm adulting. Oh my God. Not that it's easy. And then I remind myself, I think I saw a bunch of TikToks. I went down the TikTok rabbit hole. So this whole past week and then the previous weeks for my birthday, I just went into like this numbing phase, this fucking numbing phase that was just like, I'm exhausted. I'm trying to juggle more than one job at once. And then beating myself up for not just being on unemployment while I can write it out. And then I'm like, whatever, stop it. Just, I'm judging myself. Criticism's coming up. Then reflection, because I'm hitting 33. And I feel like that's that magic number. Everything's going to click, right? I'm going to become a superhero. And then I like all these expectations, you know? And then I reflect on the past year and I'm like, not where I want to be. And because I was working and then exhausted and then my work was dragging on. And when you're exhausted, I'll figure it out. When you're exhausted, it's just like everything goes to shizer.
Oh my God, I hope that you haven't been cut off the whole time. Shit. Well, we're gonna learn a lot.
We'll figure it out.
We're learning a lot.
I was thinking maybe like I'm working on my turkey.
Oh man.
Oh, we did neck exercise. But anyway, yeah, going into a shithole and a sinkhole of negative habits. And for me, that's like the embarrassing ones, like going on TikTok or YouTube. I don't even go on TikTok. I go on YouTube compilations of TikTok videos. I watched, I think 10 movies, except it was movie recap. So 15-minute movie recap videos, not even watching the whole movie. You know, I'm like, what am I doing? And so there's judgment on that, which it kind of feels a little bit efficient. I'm just like, look at all the movies that I'm getting through.
They're like, well, if you're really wanting to catch up on some movies, that's actually kind of a genius way to do it.
Well, that too. And I'm like, well, I'm getting the highlights or whatever. But, you know, going through a movie is different. I think I'm distracting. I'm not wanting to feel. So this is like me kind of diving into it. And then I'm not wanting to feel my feelings of maybe disappointment or sadness and moving through them differently than just beating myself up. And that's what I did kind of around my birthday, was really felt myself beat myself up. And so there's a fear of not wanting to feel that. So that's where I think the avoidance come in. So I'm trying to follow those patterns, a lot of pattern pulling. Meanwhile, I'm still engaging in some of these, like staying up till 4 a.m. last night. What? YouTube. I fell asleep and then I woke up again and I started looking at more YouTube. And I'm like, what am I doing? I know. No, I'm like, that's shame. But I'm like, oh, that's not good. And it hit me today during acupuncture because I haven't gotten, like, I've neglected my routine and haven't done the body work, even though it's been popping up. I've been trying to listen to myself more, right?
Please do.
That internal compass. Where it's like the little gut feelings. It's like, hey, you should work out. And you're just like, you know, kind of drowning yourself out with another cat video or something. And it has pants. The cat has pants. So that's where I'm kind of working on. And then it's like, for like face picking, my skin picking, pimple popping, whatnot, like that has been, like an embarrassing, but almost self-soothing coping mechanism that's so unhealthy, that's been with me for years. That I want to share more of, because I feel like when we share shame, things that we're ashamed of, we it gets less scary and less big, stuff like that. So that's kind of a big one. I guess that's like where I'm at. What's alive? That's kind of a recap. Not wanting to be as hard on myself. Bing bong. Okay, that's a good way to stop.
Can we reset it to like wrap that up so that we have another 5 minutes to?
Okay.
Is there anything else you wanted to say to kind of complete your thought?
Ooh, noticing not doing some of the basics on my routine. So meditation, that helps with focus. Grounding, being in my body, also prioritizing. That's a big one. Exercise helps me move energy, release emotions. It also helps me emotionally regulate better. So those are some big ones. The Tai Chi, doing that in the morning, or Qigong, which I'm like, ooh, I want to try to do that class, or at least find like there's some free Zoom ones and whatnot. So I'll put that in the show notes at some point. But that feels like just these things that I'm reflecting back and going, wow, I implemented this stuff like more hardcore after my MRSA shit. because I needed to.
Mhm.
And that was fear-based. That was like, oh my, I don't want it to go that bad. I don't want to be in the hospital. I don't want to fucking do this. Like,
Mhm.
and now I'm like, oh, when the fear's not there, it's not as motivating.
Mhm.
And I'll slip. And
Mhm.
but it's like getting curious about that. Like, why am I doing this kind of stuff? So it's just been fascinating to be like, oh, this is why. Why do I want to do the routine?
Mhm.
Not just like, well, it's it. I should. I have to. Blah blah. It's like, why do I want to? What is the and keeping that alive?
Yes.
So going back to like for me quitting smoking, it was like,
Mhm.
no, what got me through it? What's
Mhm.
continuing to get me through it? Because now I could be around smokers. Woo! I can be. Yeah. Like I could see your cigarette butts there, and in the past, I'd be like, I'm going to totally take a cigarette
But
butt.
not mine. But
No,
yeah.
sorry, somebody else's. Apologies.
Yes.
But we want to make sure we don't
No, I
negative
do,
ownership or
do
anything.
not smoke cigarettes.
Yes, no. I just saw like a thing of cigarette butts, and I was like, in the past, it brought me up to like getting them and then taking the tobacco out that was already smoked and then rolling it up like really gross, but totally smoking it. And a little bit part of me like my mouth waters, which is really gross, but that's a nicotine craving. Yes. And getting touch. Yes. And then going on dates. That's been interesting. Recognizing I'm craving intimacy. And then the priority that pops up when I get these epiphanies of clearness, like after acupuncture or something, I'm just like, oh, let me engage in the relationships I already have. Because that is what really feeds me and fills me.
And
Yeah.
we miss you.
I know. It's interesting. It's an old like early 20s thing where I would just chase boys, but it was for validation, intimacy, connection, love, wanting a sense of safety. So recognizing I can not only find that in myself, but in the community that we've built.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of really
so.
lovely humans who just totally want to be there with you.
That's
for
yeah,
you.
that's the new one. It's like, okay, ask continuing to like reach out and ask for help or be a part of support groups or be a part of other things like doing this.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
So now, unfortunately, I can't remember like what some of the specific things were that I wanted to like, come back to. But I know I definitely resonated with a lot of what you said. I feel like we've really been on where our details are different, but we are definitely on parallel paths.
We are often.
And so yeah. And I let's see. I think one of the main things I wanted to come back to was just kind of this theme of that we've both been talking about of, okay, another time that I was in this situation, in a similar situation where there's a lot of body stuff going on and there's a lot of other like psychic difficulties going on, how did I engage with it? How did that turn out? And do I want to keep doing that? Does that work? Am I happy with that outcome or do I want to try something different?
Yeah.
And we had been talking a while back about, there was a time when I sort of emphasized the opposite. And now I no longer want to emphasize opposite. I want to emphasize just different, even if it's just a few shades different, just to in the direction you really want to go.
So to clarify that, because I felt a little bit lost for a second. So instead of doing the opposite, would it be instead of doing the opposite of what you're doing? So say you're doing a habit that feels like negative, like for me, it'd be on YouTube. You would throw the phone away and not touch it. Like that would be the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, but it sounds like you're just having way more softness.
Yeah.
And so that's also make more realistic.
Yes.
Because it's like it's hard to change.
And I think all or nothing and cold turkey and total abstinence. I honestly think there are occasions when
There's
that
a call.
oh shoot.
No.
Shoot. Well,
We're
we're still learning a lot.
We're still learning.
Yeah. Shoot. That totally derailed me.
We were on topics of changing patterns and habits, and when we go balls to the wall, as I like to put it, when we go balls to the wall, it doesn't end up really well sometimes. So it's abstinence.
Yeah. But what I was also saying is that it's complete abstinence or complete, isolation or complete, like all or nothing thinking is really not ideal. So so I tend to try not to go cold turkey on anything that even if it is something that I'm like, I kind of consider that to be an addiction. But again, in the context of these aren't life-threatening kind of things that we might
Yeah.
be using the same phraseology as addiction on, it's just, but it has a flavor, similar flavor.
Ooh, so the definition of addiction that I like from Dr. Gabor Mate.
Oh, please, thanks.
Because this addiction and trauma go hand in hand in many ways, and he also aligns ADD. And so this is a fascinating one. I'm going to get one of his books that specifically talks about ADD. I think it's called The Scattered Mind, and it's his experience with having
I'm
ADHD.
really starting
So-
to enjoy themes of reframing ADHD
Yeah.
as actually a superpower instead of a liability.
I know, yeah, we look at these things that I honestly feel like are signals.
Mhm.
I would say symptoms in the past, but a lot of times symptoms go towards illness.
Yes.
And when
thank
we
you for
say
that.
like the shift in mental health and mental
Mhm.
illness. So I love
Mhm.
that, like just reframing and shifting that. And
So I think, did
Yeah.
you finish saying what Gabor Mate said though? I
Oh,
think I might
sorry.
have distracted you.
no, I get they Fabby. I love we can bring
Okay.
each other back. So Dr. Gabor Mate said that, and this is just my paraphrasing, that addiction is something, an activity or a substance that we use to feel better, satiate ourselves or whatever, but it has long-term negative effects.
Mhm.
So and I think self-harm can be in there too, and it may not make us feel better, but it can actually stop a certain amount of suffering. I know that was my experience with self-harm.
Mhm.
So, and the thing it has to be with addiction is that it's not real in our best interest.
Mhm.
It's not actually actively helping us. So
Mhm.
I can have an addiction or a passion. That's when it becomes a passion. So for art, it's
Mhm.
like, okay, cool. I have art. I'm
Mhm.
passionate about it. I have this craving for it. There's a craving
Mhm.
for it. I want to do it, but it feeds me. So that's not an addiction. That's where addiction, that's the separation
Mhm.
between addiction and passion, where it's something
Excellent.
that's harmful and harmful and hard to stop.
Mhm.
Or not wanting to stop, or
Yeah.
there's a couple other things to it. Yeah. And
Okay,
so that's the
thank
challenge.
you.
Thank you.
That's super helpful. Because I have been wanting a updated understanding of addiction,
Yeah.
but versus just genuine excitement and passion and healthy, So I think the other shit, it went away again. The other piece that felt really important. Oh, I wanted to make sure that you didn't feel like you were the only one talking about picking, because it's definitely an inflection for me as well. All right, and I don't know what language to use yet because I don't usually talk about it, but
I know it's new for me too.
yeah.
Well,
and
this type
I-
of stuff I've had so much shame over.
so
Like, oh my god.
bad.
Do we want to talk about that?
Well,
bit,
I
or-
just didn't want you to feel like you were the only one. So I'm game or also okay with skipping it. I also just want to kind of do a time check. I have no idea how much
Time
to go
check.
at.
We are at 2:49 and we started at 2:30 or 2:25. So maybe.
So yeah, I'm cool with keep going. I'm starting to notice a little bit of pressure in my head, which sometimes tells me I need to I'm not sure yet. Maybe just take some deep breaths.
Maybe we could do that. We could do a little pause.
Oh,
right
okay,
now.
let's do that.
Maybe I'll start a timer for 2 minutes or a minute. Maybe we could just do like a simple minute and do a practice.
Do you want to? I wonder if we want to. Oh shoot! I hope this. Okay. I think it's gonna be fine, but we could stop this and start a new one if you want.
Yeah, we could.
Or do we just keep going and just hope that it's working out okay?
Kind of like the breakup of it, so we could stop and go back to live.
And maybe I could go pee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bathroom break.
Okay, bathroom